Liam, a weary office worker, crushed by the relentless grind of capitalism, hadn't known a peaceful night's sleep in nearly a decade. His corporate life was more toxic than any online scandal festering in the digital underworld. Yet the only light fueling his soul was his beloved wife Mika and their precious daughter Kanami. One evening, returning home, Liam was greeted by Mika's warm smile, their little sanctuary amid the storm. The first thing Liam asked about was Kanami. Mika chuckled softly, telling him their daughter had gone to bed but had spent the entire day pleading for a puppy. Apparently, Kanami had recently seen a Shiba Inu at a friend's house and was utterly enchanted, dreaming of having one of her own. Liam wasn't sure if they could afford a dog right now, but gazing at his sleeping daughter, he made a silent vow if a puppy could bring her even a sliver of joy, then extra overtime at work would be worth every exhausted second. The next day, Liam took Kanami to the pet store to find her a furry companion. The joy shining in her eyes was enough to melt the hardest of hearts. Mika was genuinely surprised Liam agreed to get a dog, knowing it meant even more grueling hours at his job. But Liam didn't mind. For him, the happiness of his wife and daughter was a fortress strong enough to face any challenge. But he was gravely mistaken. The very next day at work, Liam faced his boss's wrath for a report that supposedly wasn't submitted on time. Liam reminded him he'd sent it Thursday, but the boss had been offered a club with some dazzling women, his phone left ignored in the heat of the moment. Somehow the boss still found a way to pin the blame on Liam. At the office, Liam endured relentless mistreatment from a careless supervisor to disrespectful colleagues. They stole credit for his work and pinned failures on him like a ticking bomb ready to explode. In this chaotic battlefield, the thought of coming home to Mika and Kanami was the only balm for his battered spirit. Yet the next day, on his commute, Liam's fragile peace shattered. On the train, Liam received a message from Nita, a friend asking him to buy the latest Gundam model. Liam chuckled, knowing exactly how obsessed Nita was with Gundams, but as a friend he agreed. He got off the train and fired up Google Maps to find the store, but unfamiliar with the area, he soon lost his way. Searching for a landmark, his eyes caught a scene that froze his heart: Mika, laughing and close with a strange man. At first, Liam refused to believe his eyes. Mika had told him she was taking Kanami to sword practice that day. He chose not to confront, holding back the storm inside. That evening, when Liam returned home, he asked Mika about her day. She lied, claiming she only took Kanami to practice. Liam considered revealing what he'd seen, but instead swallowed the bitter truth, pretending nothing was amiss. Not wanting to shatter the fragile happiness of his family, Liam began convincing himself he'd misunderstood the scene. After all, Mika would never betray him. To focus on work, he tried to put his computer to sleep mode, but it wouldn't cooperate, forcing him to shut it down until his return. Seeking calm, he wandered the city and stopped by the spot where he'd seen Mika with the stranger. Relief washed over him when she wasn't there that day. But that fleeting relief was crushed the moment he overheard Mika talking on the phone with the very man he suspected. The words hung heavy in the air, threatening to unravel everything. Liam held dear the love, trust, and fragile hope that kept his weary heart beating. Liam's world shattered the moment he heard Kanami call that man Dad, the man who had even taken his daughter away. His mind erupted with wild confusion. 2 new horns sprouted from his head as if his pain had a physical form. Despite his heartbreak, he forced himself back to work, clinging to the fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, that man was only a close friend playing the role of Kanami's father when Liam wasn't home. Just then, Liam's boss stormed in, barking accusations of laziness. Liam tried to explain that he was waiting for his computer to boot up. His machine had a glitch with its sleep mode, and for security reasons he had to shut it down during breaks. But the boss only grew angrier, demanding Liam skip all his breaks. Right at that moment, Liam's phone buzzed with a call from Mika. Her voice trembled. Kanami had been in an accident and was now in the hospital. Panic consumed Liam as he dropped everything and rushed there. Upon arrival, he asked Mika where Kanami was. She whispered that Kanami had been taken to the morgue. Then a doctor appeared and asked if they were Kanami's parents. Both confirmed. The doctor said he needed one of them to donate blood and asked their blood types. Liam said he was AB, Mika said O. The doctor explained Kanami's blood type was O, so only Mika's blood could save her. Liam, confused, asked why. The doctor's answer struck him like a thunderclap. Biologically, Konami couldn't have blood type O if Liam was AB. His heart sank with the realization that Konami might not be his biological daughter. Unable to bear the weight, Liam confronted Mika at home, asking the hard question, was Konami really his child? But Mika twisted the knife, manipulating Liam's mind. She accused him of neglecting the family, claiming her own anger was justified because Liam rarely stayed home. He tried to explain the endless overtime, but Mika wouldn't hear it. She mocked his useless job, no raises, no promotions, insisting he couldn't provide the life she deserved. Liam couldn't believe the words spilling from his wife's lips, the woman he had shared his bed with for years. Mika's voice rose to a scream. In 10 years of marriage, she barely saw Liam. She had raised Konami alone. She deliberately ignored the truth about Konami's bloodline. She told Liam he'd never been part of their family and vowed to take Konami away. Desperate, Liam asked where she planned to go, but Mika brushed him off and knocked on Konami's door, telling their daughter they were leaving. Liam tried to stop her, but Mika resisted fiercely. In sheer despair, he shouted that he'd always done his best for Konami and begged her not to abandon him. Then the cruelest blow came, Konami whispered. She liked that dad better than him, shattering Liam's last thread of hope. The next day, Liam went to work broken, still reeling from Mika and Konami's betrayal. But his torment didn't end there. He was summoned and accused of embezzling company funds. Liam denied everything, yet somehow his boss produced proof. 50 million yen had been transferred to a mysterious account logged in from Liam's computer. Immediately, he was fired. After losing his job, Mika's betrayal twisted further. She filed for divorce and sued for child support. Though Konami wasn't his biological daughter, to avoid prison for the alleged embezzlement, Liam agreed to repay the stolen 50 million yen by working as a construction labourer. The grueling labour drained him, and in truth he was just working himself to death before the debt was cleared. His life felt like it was over, with his only comfort coming from a friend, Nita, who sent him messages about the latest Gundam episode. Liam wanted to reply to share that joy with his friend, but he deleted the message, unwilling to reveal how grim his reality had become. He clung to hope, believing hard work could still turn his life around. But during lunch one day he coughed up blood and sensed death creeping closer. That night his bloody cough worsened, and without money for treatment he was forced to lie in bed waiting for the inevitable. Just as his life's light began to fade, another light appeared. Visions flooded his mind. They revealed that his boss had framed him for the 50 million yen theft using Liam's computer, and that Mika had been manipulating him all along. Her claims of feeling abandoned were lies. She had used Liam like a mine to extract money daily. Worse, she had conspired in the scheme to trap him for embezzlement. Liam's heart broke as the painful truth crushed him. But then, a mysterious man appeared, confirming these visions were real. He asked Liam if he was truly willing to let these vile acts go unpunished. Rage surged through Liam's veins, igniting a vow he would make them pay for the torment they'd caused. This was the last wish he clung to in his shattered life. The man smiled at Liam's pure fury and revealed that was why he had chosen to visit him. Yet he hadn't introduced himself. Liam demanded to know who he was and why he was there. The man explained that Liam was a good man, but his kindness had only brought him misery. Liam seemed unhappy living a life too good for the world, one that gave back nothing. If he could go back, the man said Liam would live selfishly, putting himself first. Liam's bitter agreement pleased the stranger. Then the man offered Liam a chance to start anew, a chance to be reborn in another world of his choosing. Liam thought it might be a dying hallucination, but if given a choice, he wanted to seize it. He recalled Nita mentioning a world of Gundam, where science fiction met magic, ruled by royals and nobles. Liam picked this world knowing he might end up a mere farmer on some distant farm. But the man, fond of Liam, promised to reincarnate him as a child in that world, giving Liam a rare chance to rewrite his fate. The man's offer was a beacon in Liam's darkest hour, a new chapter waiting to be written. And as Liam faced the unknown, he wondered, if given the power to live again, would you choose to be selfish or selfless? Would you fight for justice or surrender to despair? Sometimes the hardest battles are within ourselves. Liam's journey reminds us that even when the world seems to betray us, a new dawn may rise, if only we dare to believe. So, as Liam stands on the edge of rebirth, Let's draw closer to the story inside us all, the story of pain, hope, and the eternal fight for a better tomorrow. Thanks for joining this journey with me, the son of a baron ruling over a planet, making everything easier for him. Liam's heart soared at the news that his new life would be far better than the one he left behind. So with his final breath, he signed a contract with the man, and his soul was instantly transported to this new world. Today, on the planet, Hydra marks Liam's 5th birthday. To celebrate, his mother threw a party for him. She also had a special gift prepared just for Liam. She told him to follow her, then activated a magical circle floating beneath their feet. Liam did the same. When they arrived in the next room, he saw a gigantic cake and a large box beside it. Eagerly, Liam opened the gift to find a strange item. His mother explained that it was a custom-made character customization device made especially for him. Using this remote, he could select any features or body parts he desired for his maid. The chosen design would then be sent to a manufacturing company for production. Customizable features included ears, mouth, and other parts that were blurred out. Liam asked why she would give something like this to a 5-year-old, but she said it was crucial to meet his future needs. Then his father arrived, announcing he too had a special gift for Liam, the entire Benfield estate, the family's property. Shocked, Liam questioned if his father was truly serious about handing over everything to a 5-year-old. His father confirmed his full sobriety, but added one small condition before transferring the estate. After handing it over, he wished to move to a villa with his wife and live out their remaining days in peace. He requested that Liam agree to provide them with a monthly allowance, so they could live comfortably in their old age. Blinded by the allure of power, Liam didn't notice how strange it was that his father would entrust everything to a child. So when his father presented the contract, Liam signed without reading it. After signing, his father took the contract and said that he and his wife would now leave. Still, Liam didn't realize he might have just been tricked. He chose to ignore his fleeting doubts and focused on the fact that he was officially a baron now. Seizing this moment, he planned to abuse his baronial power as much as possible to ensure no one could deceive him in this new life. Reflecting, Liam thought he would never have reached this beautiful place without that man's help, so he was truly grateful to him. However, Liam shouldn't have trusted the man who fed on human despair. As soon as Liam was sent to another world, the man decided to create even more suffering before returning to his own realm. Turning his attention to Mika and Liam's boss, he stirred trouble. They were still laughing and chatting in a restaurant, with Liam's boss joking about feeling a bit guilty for ruining Liam's life. But young Mika bluntly told him that Liam deserved this fate. After all, Liam had wasted 10 years of her youth. Suddenly, a group of police surrounded the boss and arrested him. The boss tried to protest, claiming it must be a mistake. But the police had footage from security cameras capturing him, framing Liam for embezzlement. They planned to lock him up for a long time. And so, the wheels of justice began turning swiftly, marking a new chapter for Liam's story. Now with Mika's sugar daddy about to be thrown behind bars, Mika's life and that of her child is about to collapse into chains. Meanwhile, a mysterious man watches, with cold delight, savouring every ounce of the suffering he's unleashed. All that remains is to transfer Liam's soul to another world. But his true intention, to make Liam endure agony far worse than anything in this life. He wants to feast on every bitter emotion Liam will feel. He'll watch Liam's spirit twist as he realises just how bleak his new existence will be, especially since lifespans in this world stretch on for centuries. Liam is sentenced to endure 100 years or more of torment there. Meanwhile, in this new realm, a planet is under siege by ruthless space pirates. Just as their captain thinks victory is near chaos, erupts one of his own suddenly explodes. Amidst the turmoil, he spots Liam's warrior, Princess Christiana, commanding fighter jets into the fray. Christiana, the first princess of the Holy Kingdom hybrid, is no ordinary fighter, she's a force of nature. With her arrival, the pirates start dropping like flies. Thanks to her, lives forces rally and push back the space marauders. But even as the pirates retreat, Christiana orders her troops to keep pressing the attack. They must send a clear warning to these foolish raiders. Meanwhile, Liam receives his new maid and excitement bubbles inside him. Yet, he's caught off guard when she emerges from a glowing pod. Liam's butler instructs him that all he needs to do is touch the package to open it. Following the advice, Liam activates the pod and the maid falls to the ground. She introduces herself as Amaz, and the butler announces that from now on, Amaz will be Liam's personal assistant. He reminds Liam that Amaz requires weekly maintenance to function 24/7, dedicated to tending to Liam's every need. But Liam has long stopped listening to the butler's nagging, too fascinated inspecting every mechanical part of his precious gift. The butler shyly asks what he's doing, and Liam explains he's just making sure the manufacturer built her to the exact specs and sizes he requested. Even if that's true, the butler warns Liam that such behaviour isn't appropriate in front of others. That makes some sense. So Liam asks Amaz to join him in his private room, where he can examine her components more thoroughly, causing the butler to worry about Liam's innocence. Is he really a 5-year-old child? Hours after the battle, Liam relaxes as Amaz massages his shoulders, prompting the butler's curiosity about what they've been up to. Liam brushes off the butler's concerns, explaining that though he looks like a 5-year-old, his mind is that of a 36-year-old man. Still, the butler insists that no matter how old Liam claims to be, he's still just a child. Shocked by this, Liam listens as Amaz explains that in this world, the average lifespan is 600 years, and adulthood isn't recognised until around 100 years old. Liam had no idea life here stretched so long, but he's thrilled. A long life means endless chances to try new things, especially with Amaz by his side for the entire journey. The butler warns Liam that getting too close to Amaz isn't wise, since the entire empire looks down on AI. If anyone sees Liam friendly with an AI, rumours could spread that damage his reputation. Confused why people despise AI? Liam presses the butler for a full explanation. The butler reveals that long ago, humanity was nearly wiped out by AI during the Great Skynet War. Humans were enslaved, nearly exterminated. But during that dark age, brave rebels fought back and restored freedom. These heroes founded the Empire. So it's understandable why the nobility distrust AI. If all that's true, then why did Liam's mother gift him an AI made for his birthday? The butler admits he was ordered to keep it a secret, but now as Liam is the new count, he has the right to know the truth. The butler confesses that Liam's parents abandoned him to escape their troubles. Liam's confusion grows as he asks why they fled. The butler explains that they dumped the family's colossal debt onto Liam's shoulders so they wouldn't have to face it themselves. Liam's great ancestor Alistair was a great man who built the Benfield name, but Liam's father was useless. When he took over the family, he ruined everything. Now, the Benfield clan is drowning in debt, having lost control of frontier planets and resources. Their industries have collapsed, tax income is nearly zero, and paying off debts is impossible. In other words, Liam was tricked into inheriting a mountain of debt. Elsewhere on planet Hydra, citizens gather in a bar gossiping about the new lord, who's just a 5-year-old boy. One man complains, recalling how the last new lord slammed them with heavy taxes without cause. Now all they can do is hope this time will be better. Meanwhile, Liam struggles to understand why his family dumped this burden on a child. Then the harsh truth hits him: they only had him to pass on this debt. In his past life, Liam was abused, exploited, and discarded like used tissue. But this time, he vows it won't happen again. He asks Amaz to join forces with him and ensure a brighter future. Amaz gladly pledges her full support. Liam has finally given her a purpose. He's overjoyed to have someone he can truly trust. Eager to start, he sets 3 rules for his robot maid to keep humanity safe. For Liam, his past life was a nightmare, abused, used, and discarded like a piece of trash. But in this new life, he swears he won't let that happen again. He asks Amy to join forces with him to ensure a future where he can finally thrive. Amazji gladly steps up to support Liam in every way, for he has given her a purpose to live for. Liam feels a rare joy, finally, someone he can trust completely. With that trust, Liam is eager to work alongside Amazji. But before diving in, he sets 3 ironclad laws for the robot to guarantee humanity's safety. The first rule: Amazji must never harm a single human being. Then, a flicker of doubt crosses Liam's mind. Why should he care about others? So he crafts a new set of rules. First, Amazji cannot harm him in any way. Second, she must obey all Liam's commands unless they conflict with the first rule. And third, Amazji must protect herself at all costs, except when it would violate the first 2 rules. Once these laws are laid down, Liam reveals his grand plan to resurrect the Benfield territory. Curious if Amaji has any ideas on how to bring this vision to life, he waits. Amaji quickly scans for possibilities, then hesitates. She warns Liam that her ideas might clash with the Empire's ideals, since she was designed to assist in his governance. But Liam is still a stranger to this world. So, Amaji suggests a device, the educational capsule. This special tool can upload 10 years' worth of knowledge into a user's mind in just 6 months, and even boosts physical strength during use. Liam thinks it's brilliant, but worries who would manage Benfield when he's unavailable. Without missing a beat, he entrusts Amaji with that responsibility. Over the past 3 years, Yasushi has only drilled Liam with basic sword techniques, leaving Liam bored out of his mind. On the bright side, having mastered all the fundamentals, Amaji reports that Liam's combat skills have improved dramatically. But Liam isn't interested in mere basics, he craves a flashy move that looks cool when he makes his entrance. He granted Amaji temporary authority over the territory while he was inside the capsule. But Brian, the butler, objected he wasn't comfortable entrusting the entire territory to an AI. Liam, however, was unfazed. He trusted Amaji implicitly. She would never act against his orders. Besides, no law forbade an AI from governing temporarily. So he decided to entrust everything to her care. With the educational capsule ready, Liam prepared to begin the process. But before stepping in, he asked Amaji if she could experience emotions, or anything akin to human feelings. Amaji wasn't sure, yet when Liam requested her cooperation, her logs overflowed. Simply put, it made her happy. Hearing that Liam's heart lifted, he reminded Amaji that he was entrusting everything to her and stepped into the capsule. After absorbing the knowledge, the capsule opened and Amaji greeted him warmly. Liam asked how long he had been inside. Amaji replied 2 years had passed since he entered. Once Liam changed his clothes, Amaji briefed him on Benfield's current economy. Everything seemed to be running smoothly, and Liam thanked Amaji for her hard work during his absence. Next, Liam expressed his desire to tour the territory, so Amaji decided to take him to the warship dock first. This was Liam's first real glimpse of his magnificent domain, and he was especially captivated by the massive battle armors. He asked Amaji if he could try piloting one, and she happily arranged a test drive. Amaji explained that the battle armor could automatically perform basic movements. All Liam had to do was imagine the actions he wanted to execute, and the armor would respond. Liam tried it, and it worked flawlessly. As the armor's systems activated, Liam easily walked around. Excited, he wished he could test it in actual combat. Amaji said she could arrange a mock battle for him. Minutes later, Meseta, commander of the planet's defense forces, arrived to face Liam. As soon as the fight began, Liam charged and attacked Meseta. Though Meseta blocked the blow, he pretended to fall, letting Liam win. His acting was poor, and Liam immediately saw through the ruse. He despised being toyed with like that. Liam ordered Meseta to take the fight seriously, if he wanted to live. Bound by the Lord's command, Meseta had no choice but to comply. So when Liam charged again, Meseta gripped his sword tightly, ready to fight for real. Disarmed and weaponless, Liam was slammed to the ground, stunned by how easily he was defeated. Amaji explained that the armor's movements depended entirely on the user's imagination. So, seasoned fighters like Meseta naturally controlled it far better than he could. Humiliated by this loss, Liam immediately ordered his butler, Brian, to find him a combat instructor. Brian tried to talk Liam out of it, saying he didn't need dangerous fighting lessons since he was a lord. But Liam was resolute. In his past life, he'd been crushed by those with more power. If he was to survive here as a ruthless lord, he had to be stronger. Very quickly, Liam met a man named Jasusi, known as a master of the swift sword technique. Liam was thrilled, thinking Jasusi looked every bit the cool, legendary master. So he introduced himself and asked Jasusi to become his teacher. Jasusi agreed, but Amaji wasn't convinced. She whispered that Jasusi seemed shady. Liam thought the same, but figured his samurai-like appearance was enough reason to trust him. Determined, Liam refused Amaji's warnings, believing Jasusi would be a good mentor. Amaji could only insist he verify Jasusi's skills first. So Liam requested a demonstration. Jasusi accepted and led Liam and Amaji to a clearing in the woods where several wooden pillars stood. Before beginning, Jasusi warned Liam that he'd show a secret technique called Swift Sword, only once, no repeats. He urged Liam to watch closely. Liam understood, and to study it later, asked Amaji to start recording. Then, Jasusi took his stance, drew his sword just a fraction, and resheathed it. In the blink of an eye, all the pillars around him were sliced cleanly in half. Liam was awestruck by such unparalleled speed. But no one could move that fast, so Liam asked Amaji to replay the footage in slow motion to see how Jasusi did it. No matter how much they slowed the video, there was no sign Jasusi actually drew his sword. Liam concluded Jasusi must have moved too fast for the camera to capture. This only strengthened Liam's belief that Jasusi was incredible and sealed his desire to become his student. That night, Jasusi returned to the pillars, chuckling at Liam's foolishness for falling for his trick. He'd pre-cut the pillars so they would topple on their own. Nah, he'd earned a fat paycheck from Lord Liam without lifting a finger. Meanwhile, Princess Christiana was on her way to meet the pirate Ghost, who'd surprisingly proposed peace talks. But as soon as she arrived, Ghost called her stupid for coming alone. Christiana replied she wasn't foolish, just brave, and warned that if Ghost made a move, her entire Alliance fleet would obliterate his ship. But Ghost didn't flinch. He knew the Alliance truly stood with him. Suddenly, Christiana received a report that pirates had secretly breached her home planet's defenses, a shocking impossibility. Ghost explained her alliance wasn't perfect. Some had betrayed her when he made his offer. At that moment, Christiana's crew warned that all Alliance ships were aiming their cannons at her own ship. She couldn't believe Ghost had turned her forces against her, but she had no choice but to comply with his demands. Back with Liam, he was exhausted from Jasusi's grueling training, yet no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't master the swift sword technique because it didn't exist. He asked Amaji if there was a way to learn it, but as an AI, she knew little about it. Over 3 years, Jasusi had only taught Liam basic sword moves, leaving him bored and frustrated. On the bright side, having mastered the fundamentals, Amaji confirmed Liam's fighting skills had improved dramatically. But Liam didn't care about that. What he wanted was a flashy technique to look cool when he strode into battle. That night, Jasusi lounged in his room reading comics, proudly marvelling at how he'd tricked his way into a cushy teaching job. He might be a fraud, but he knew swordsmanship well enough to teach the basics. Thanks to his scam, he'd been earning a huge paycheck for 3 years. Jasusi hoped this golden goose would never stop laying eggs. But then Liam appeared, demanding Jasusi finally teach him the swift sword technique. Jasusi immediately said he was quitting, making up an excuse, and reminding Liam he'd only ever shown the secret once. If Liam wasn't satisfied, Jasusi had no reason to stay as his teacher. Liam bowed deeply, begging for forgiveness for his insolence. Jasusi, though stern-faced, searched for a reason to forgive Liam. He didn't want to lose his cash cow. He warned Liam not to make the same mistake again. As Liam left the room, Jasusi sighed in relief, worried Liam might have uncovered his con. Truth be told, even if Jasusi wanted to teach the swift sword, no such technique existed. That night, Yasushi lounges in the manga room, still proud of how he managed to snag a teaching gig so easily. Sure, Yasushi might be a con artist, but he knows a thing or two about swordsmanship. So, for 3 years, all he's done is teach Liam the basics. Thanks to this scam, the sly old man has been swimming in cash. Yasushi hopes this golden goose never runs dry. But then, Liam shows up and demands lessons in the legendary flash sword technique. Yasushi instantly threatens to quit, whipping up an excuse on the spot, and reminding Liam he only promised to demonstrate the flash sword move once. If Liam isn't satisfied, there's no reason for Yasushi to stick around as his teacher. Caught off guard, Liam bows deeply, begging Yasushi's forgiveness for his outburst. Yasushi's face is stern, but he's also desperate to find a reason to forgive. He doesn't want to lose his cash cow. With a warning not to make the same mistake twice, Yasushi watches Liam leave and exhales in relief, glad to avoid further trouble. Behind that gruff exterior, Yasushi may be a trickster, but he's also a man who knows how to survive. And as Liam steps away, the tension breaks. Sometimes even the toughest teachers need a break from their most stubborn students. Yashi's heart nearly stopped, fearing that Liam might uncover his deceit. Even if he wished to teach Liam the art of the legendary rapid sword technique, such a skill simply didn't exist to be taught. Just then, Liam turned around, making Yashi's pulse race with terror that his secret was exposed. But Liam only came to inform him about a task scheduled for tomorrow, meaning he wouldn't be able to train. Meanwhile, Christina had been captured hostage by the ruthless space pirate Ghost and was locked away in the captain's quarters. She asked what he planned to do with her. Ghost coldly explained that he merely wanted her a front-row seat to the spectacle he was about to unleash. At first, Christina couldn't grasp his twisted meaning, but then Ghost ordered all his ships to aim their weapons at her home planet. Realizing his cruel intent, Christina begged Ghost to stop, but it was too late. With a cold command, he unleashed a barrage that obliterated her planet before her eyes. Back on Liam's planet, he remained frustrated, still unable to master the Phantom Rapid Sword technique. Yet his duty as a lord called and he requested a monthly report from Amiji. She presented detailed charts on the planet's economic status. Though the massive debt remained unchanged, production sectors showed steady growth. Liam felt relief in trusting governance to Amiji, impressed by her competence. Yet Amiji confessed the real growth rate was far slower than expected. Significant investments were poured into welfare programs, but the returns paled in comparison to their budget projections and timeline. Liam requested a thorough financial report on the welfare initiative. Thanks to his analytical experience from a past life, he immediately spotted the red flags. Liam instructed Amiji to summon the welfare program manager at once. Minutes later, the pimply-faced noble arrived, a sly grin plastered across his face. Liam wasted no time cutting straight to the chase. If the noble was hiding secrets, now was the moment to confess before it was too late. The noble feigned ignorance, but Liam saw right through the facade. He was siphoning a hefty sum from the welfare funds. The noble had woven a web of deceit, manipulating invoices with practiced skill. But Liam's sharp eye, honed by years of scrutinizing ledgers, quickly uncovered the corruption. Adding fuel to the fire, the noble had switched the project's supplier without approval. Liam questioned this move directly. The noble claimed the new supplier was superior, but if that were true, the welfare program's performance should have soared. Instead, the evidence screamed corruption deep to the bone. Yet honestly, Liam wasn't even that angry. He had come to this world seeking to become a ruthless lord, learning to wield power to suppress all beneath him. Just then, Amiji informed Liam of a budget embezzlement case linked to the noble. Liam was surprised the noble could manage such crimes so skillfully, but the noble insisted the investigation had concluded blaming a subordinate for the bribery. Liam asked Amiji if this was true, and she confirmed it. Though no solid evidence pointed directly at the subordinate, which was strange considering the noble had executed that very man. Liam recognized this pattern well, having died under similar deception himself. He accused the noble of framing his subordinate and silencing him with murder. The noble raged, denying everything, but Liam saw every word drip with lies. Grabbing his sword, he stepped toward the noble, fury blazing in his eyes. Now the noble realized Liam was no child to be toyed with. Desperately, he tried to justify his actions, claiming all nobles engaged in the same corruption. So destroying the life of this noble was merely part of the game. It was completely normal for subordinates to act out of self-interest. After hearing this, Liam drew his sword, ready to end the corrupt noble's life. But Amiji urged him to calm down. The noble began to shout that Liam was too young to understand that this was just how the world worked. Before he could say another word, Liam's blade severed his head. Fury still burned in Liam's eyes because he then ordered Amiji to investigate every noble on the planet and execute all the corrupt ones immediately. But she told Liam he needed to regain his composure first. This was Liam's first real kill, and his hands trembled so much he couldn't release his sword. Amy gently helped him relax his fingers and reminded him of his earlier command. She warned that executing every corrupt noble would cause chaos because, in truth, every noble was corrupt. If Liam wiped them all out, there'd be no one left to govern the planet. To compromise, she requested Liam prepare a sizable number of synthetic androids like herself to take over the planet's administration. Liam trusted her judgment and agreed to this proposal. A while later, Liam returned to the robot machine. Now that he had mastered basic sword skills, he wanted to train again with the battle armor. But just as he was about to enter the robot's cockpit, Yasushi appeared, saying Liam could never become a great warrior by using ordinary battle armor. Instead, he needed to find a robot that was harder to control. So, Liam asked Masida if there was any armor fitting that criteria. Masida revealed there was such a war machine, one no one had ever managed to operate. Meanwhile, Yasushi, who was both a skilled teacher and a sly businessman, had another side hustle selling Liam's buried belongings. Unfortunately, he forgot to burn the evidence, so he kept finding fake items, fueling his frustration. He muttered curses about Liam's rapid progress, knowing the absurd training routines he designed were only meant to keep Liam stuck in the academy longer, and thus keep draining his money. Yasushi realized these tricks couldn't last forever. The only way to keep draining the young count's pockets was to create even more grueling exercises. Frustrated, he accidentally pressed his hand against the wall, triggering a hidden mechanism. The wall slid open, revealing an ancient war machine, looking like a legendary knight, majestic and formidable. To Yasushi, this was exactly what he needed, a challenge tough enough to keep Liam occupied for as long as possible so he could keep cashing in. At the same time, far away on a planet called Earth, an evil entity calling itself the Guide wandered searching for negative emotions. It found a man annoyed because his Starbucks order wasn't right. The scent of dissatisfaction pleased the evil being, but it craved something darker, more intense. Back in Liam's world, Yasushi assigned Liam the task of repairing the war machine called Avid as the training. Liam was ready, determined to master his master's lightning-fast sword techniques under the watchful eye of Steward Brian. Though happy to see Avid the Benfield family heirloom restored, Brian remained worried. He felt using such an outdated machine wouldn't benefit Liam. But Liam believed conquering the hardest, oldest machine would take his piloting skills to the peak. Brian, ever the warrior, nagged Liam to drop the slow, old-fashioned techniques, calling them a waste of time. But Liam stood firm, confident that with effort success was certain. Meanwhile, Amy arrived at the Avid storage, skeptical of Yasushi and his training methods. She even doubted he was a real swordsman. Yet Liam's orders were absolute. She had to obey, pouring all her energy into restoring the broken relic before her. Soon after Lieutenant Neo Scallon, a talented weapons factory engineer, arrived with her team on Liam's planet to begin repairs. Liam personally welcomed her at the spaceport, wishing her luck. During their chat, Nia noticed Amaji and wondered why an AI doll was accompanying a count. Liam, feeling his pride stung quickly, claimed ownership of Amaji and threatened anyone who dared criticize his lifestyle. But Liam completely misunderstood her. Nia was actually an AI fanatic. The moment she saw Amaji, she was ecstatic, marveling at the doll's finely customized features. Nia began fondling Amaji's twin peaks like a mischievous temptress, almost lifting her skirt to inspect further, until Liam stopped her just in time. After the lively greeting, the group moved into the warehouse where the battle machine Avid sat. Nia immediately dismissed Avid as junk, advising Liam to invest in a new machine instead of wasting money on repairs. Liam refused and had no interest in Nia's flawed new models, insisting that Avid was the only machine he wanted to pilot. Nia complained repairs would be tough without spare parts, and the massive size of Avid made the costs skyrocket. Liam remained unfazed, having a mountain of money. To solve the parts shortage, he came up with a daring idea: replace old components with the newest modern parts to optimize Avid's performance. Since Yasushi ordered Liam to master full manual control, he requested Nia to remove all automatic assistance features. Before leaving, Liam also asked Nia to add some special moves like the rocket punch, where the robot's fist detaches and flies like a missile toward enemies. Just then, Yasushi came to check on the repair progress. His eyes instantly locked onto Nia, and he was struck by love at first sight. The beauty of Nia captivated him, her perfect figure causing him to nosebleed uncontrollably. Preferring full manual control, Liam instructed Nias to disable all automatic assistance functions. Before leaving, he asked her to add a few special moves like the rocket punch, where the robot's fist detaches and rockets toward enemies. Just then, arriving at the warehouse to check on Avid's repairs, Yasusi's eyes widened in stunned admiration upon seeing Nias. Her beauty captivated him, every curve of her form flawless, causing him to nosebleed uncontrollably. Hastily wiping the blood and adjusting his clothes, Yasusi boldly introduced himself and invited Nias out. But she ignored him, continuing to discuss with Liam why those hidden functions couldn't be added to Avid. Generously, Liam promised to cover all costs if she agreed to work on it, money making everything easier. Nias agreed immediately. In truth, Yasusi's initial goal was just to siphon money from Liam. But witnessing Liam's lively conversation with his dream girl, jealousy flared. Determined to get back at Liam, Yasusi plotted harsher training regimens. He devised a cruel exercise blindfolding Liam and forcing him to balance on a slippery log in a raging river. While Liam struggled to stay upright, Yasusi relentlessly fired dozens of tennis balls at him with a homemade launcher. Beneath the guise of tough training, Yasusi was really venting his anger at Liam for stealing the girl he secretly adored. Liam felt the weight of the sword now burdened with added weights heavier than ever. Yet, obedient to his master, he summoned his mental focus to dodge the incoming tennis balls flying like missiles. Elsewhere, the brutal pirate Ghost strode to his ship's detention area where many were imprisoned. Without a word of explanation, Ghost coldly commanded Christiana to step forward. His eyes glinted with lust as he admired her beauty, declaring his intent to turn her into a trophy for his twisted collection. His voice trembled with desire. Dragging Christiana to his mad assistant's laboratory, he led her into a shadowed room housing the gruesome results of his cruel experiments. On the floor lay a deformed woman, her grotesque body a tragic testament to Ghost's merciless trials. Like a cruel game, Ghost heartlessly tossed the broken experiment overboard, then turned to Christiana with a chilling promise she would be his next captive pet. The thought of torturing this beautiful new toy thrilled him. Ghost sought his assistant's twisted counsel on how best to punish her. The assistant suggested crippling Christiana by cutting off her legs to make her a lifeless doll. But Ghost's dark imagination conjured an even more sickening torment, gouging out her eyes and implanting them into her palms. Horror-stricken, Christiana glanced around, seeing rows of tubes containing other deformed women, realizing that without a miracle, her fate would be just as tragic. Weeks later, Nias finished repairing the Avid fighter jet, outfitting it with numerous custom modifications at Liam's request. But their work was far from over. She led Liam into the cockpit to teach him how to operate the machine. The day was warm, so Nia shed her tight jacket for comfort. Whether by chance or design, her soft curves were revealed as she enthusiastically guided Liam through the controls. Liam tried to follow her instructions, while desperately avoiding the sharp sting of her teasing presence. Then he started the engine. Avid quickly scanned Liam's body, confirming him as the only authorized pilot. Excited, Liam took his first tentative steps, but the jet wobbled and nearly toppled. Nias explained that unlike newer models, Avid lacked an automatic balance system, so he couldn't simply push a button to control it. However, she reassured him that if he mastered this old machine, he would be able to maneuver it as fluidly as his own body. Encouraged, Liam steadied himself carefully, taking each step with better balance. Then he guided Avid out of the hangar. Nias reminded him how crucial focus was to pilot the craft. To help him concentrate, she stepped closer, accidentally brushing her ample curves against him. The provocative touch shattered Liam's focus. His mind wavered, caught between the demands of the machine and the distracting allure of Nias's presence. Liam had linked with Avid, his hand instinctively reaching out as if trying to grasp the intangible before him. At that moment, Nias sensed the dark thoughts swirling within Liam mirrored by the machine's subtle gestures, but Liam quickly denied it, blaming the mishap on an unintended accident. Outside, Yasusi's eyes narrowed with suspicion, convinced Liam was abusing his power for some shady liaison with the female lieutenant in the cockpit. Meanwhile, Brian's eyes welled up not with judgment, but with emotion, seeing his master finally notice a woman easing fears that their family line would end. Only Gashi burned with anger, cursing Liam in his heart for daring to get close to his goddess. He vowed to devise the harshest training to torment Liam. Time slipped by, yet Liam still struggled to master the secret technique his master had promised. Doubt gnawed at him, questioning if he simply lacked the talent. But Amy believed the fault lay in Yasusi's teaching method, and confided in Liam her growing doubts about the master's true abilities. Yet Liam clung stubbornly to faith in Yasusi defending the master's honor, convinced the swift technique involved magic. He speculated that it wasn't the sword, but the magic that sliced the wood in two, so Liam began infusing magic into his sword, swinging it with the intention of cutting through enchantment. After many grueling years, Liam finally mastered a technique that was said not to even exist, conjured by his master's lies. Now, grown Liam was eager to show Gashi his accomplishment. From afar, he swung his sword toward a log. The unleashed power split the wood clean in two. Gashi stood frozen, mouth agape, his teachings exposed as nothing but deception. Yet this boy, Liam, could cleave a log without even touching it. Fear swelled inside Gashi at Liam's strength, but he masked it with a calm facade, telling Liam there was still much to learn and warning against pride. Weeks later, aboard the warship with Amaji, Liam received a report Mukai, a small desolate planet in Liam's territory used as an energy factory, was under attack by a pirate fleet. The stationed forces were desperately holding off the enemy's mobile knights, but their thin ranks couldn't last long. Amaji proposed a daring counterattack, using Mukai's blind spot to ambush the invaders. Liam agreed, ordering his fleet to capture the enemy ships, while he himself would fight on the front lines. Brian's worry was palpable, begging Liam not to take reckless risks, but Liam was no coward. Having trained under a legendary samurai like Yasushi for years, he trusted his swordsmanship and wanted to prove his power to the Empire. Liam entered Avid's cockpit, charging straight toward Mukai. Emerging from the enemy's blind spot, he struck swiftly, cutting down the enemy's mobile knights before they even noticed him. In moments, the opposing forces suffered heavy losses. Cranking up the drama, Liam unleashed the divine swift sword technique, wiping out scores from afar, sending enemies fleeing in terror. Boldly exploiting the blind spot of planet Mukai, Liam agreed with Amaji's plan to ambush the enemy fleet. He ordered his forces to capture enemy ships alive, while he himself would fight at the front lines. Brian worried for Liam's safety, but Liam was no coward. After years of grueling training under the legendary samurai Yasushi, he had unwavering confidence in his swordsmanship and sought to prove his strength to the Empire. Liam surged into Avid's cockpit, charging straight at Mukai. Emerging from the enemy's blind spot, he launched a sudden assault, swiftly slashing down the enemy's mobile knights before they could react. In moments, the enemy suffered heavy losses. To raise the stakes, Liam unleashed the divine rapid sword technique, cutting down foes from afar, striking fear that scattered them in panic. Finally, he used the rocket punch move. Though effective, Liam was dissatisfied. He immediately contacted Nias to say what he really wanted was a fist that could fire from Avid's palm, not a rocket. Then Amaji interrupted, reporting their fleet had captured less than 10% of enemy ships destroyed, 30% with the rest escaping. She apologized for the incomplete mission. Yet Liam held this as a glorious victory.